What's your planner personality? Hi, I'm Angelika. I'm a leadership coach with 15 years of project management experience, and I help leaders create impact with their teams and in their organizations. Planning is an essential leadership skill. And when it comes to your planner personality, there's a lot of talk in the online planning community about what size, shape, format you prefer as your planner. And when you see this little planner stick over here, you can see that I'm a planner girl through and through. But planner formats and sizes, A4, A5, B6, and so on, that's not what I want to talk to you about today. The thing I want to talk to you about is when it comes to you being a leader and planning for your team, with your team, or not with your team, first question mark, that's where we're diving into personality. There's a couple of polarities and choices, preferences that you're facing as a planner when you're in a leadership situation. And you don't have to be like a team lead or a manager with people directly reporting to you. You already are planning for a group or your team if you're running a workshop, or if you're heading a project team, or even if you're contributing to a planning workshop. So let's have a look at planner personality. What is your preference when it comes to planning solo versus planning in a group? In a collaborative environment. Think about a group workshop, a group situation where everyone in the project team puts together the plan. Is that something that you like, or would you much rather prefer to sit on your own and prepare the whole thing and come with a prepared thing to the group? Or take away the information from the group and do the solo exercise afterwards. There's a pro and con for each of those scenarios, and the best plans, and especially the best integrated plans for complex interdisciplinary projects and business initiatives, they come about with a combination of solo planning and a group environment where you put together the different perspectives and validate what's happening. But you will work best, and these scenarios will work best for you as a leader when you know your preference. Second question, what's your preference? Would you prefer to have a plan once done, and then this is the plan, and you would allow for tweaks as life shifts and you will adjust, but you prefer to have it like one and done? This is the plan? Or do you rather go in iterations, like sketching out the plan and going with this as the plan for this week's sprints, or this for these 2 weeks, and then starting over, doing a next iteration? Maybe not doing the whole plan again, but having like a general idea of the overall roadmap and doing a proper plan for the next iteration. And do you feel comfortable doing that? Because if you actually prefer to have like a plan scheduled out and then everyone stick to it, you will have a lot of icky feelings. You will have a lot of nervousness and irritations when you're in the other scenario. When people expect you to go in iterations, you will be impatient. And otherwise, if you prefer iterative, you will be hard pushed to do a long-term one and done plan, because you may feel like this limits your freedom, or you think it's irrelevant because things happen, life changes, right? That's the second dichotomy for your planner personality. Figure out what you prefer and then lean into that and find someone to help you adjust to the scenario in which you're either committed or even obliged to go in iterations. Say your organization works agile and you really don't like it. Fair enough, we're different. And if someone requires you to come up with a one and done plan that is very solid and just allows for minor tweaks, find someone to help you do that. if your preference is something completely different. Talking about long-term, that is the third element of planning personality. Do you prefer to do a long-term plan? Like there's people who are super comfortable with coming up with a personal 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan for their personal lives, maybe even for their career, or if they're a business owner, for their business. People's planning horizons, like how far we plan into the future, are very different. I run workshops with leaders and leadership teams about their coming up with their strategy for their business. And I always add that to our workshops because there are some people who will be very much in the moment or short-term oriented. And then you have people who are super committed, super comfortable with making a long-term plan and having these people together in a room, coming up with a commitment for a strategy with a lot of decisions for a midterm scenario, 2 to 3 years in the future. That needs aligning. So I'm very aware that people's planning horizons are very different. And it will help you to figure out and be aware of how comfortable you feel with making a long-term plan that reaches out. And for some people, 1 year is long-term. For some people, 20 years is long-term. Those words also have different meaning. Or whether you feel much more comfortable with going week by week because so many things are shifting, or because you naturally prefer to be more in the moment and adjust to the situation. Your long-term, maybe 3 months in the future, or if you want to call it 90 days because the smaller entity of days feels more comfortable to you. You may just feel super comfortable looking closer at this week and maybe an outlook to next week. So what's your planner personality? What's your preference? To go with a long-term horizon, whether that's 1 year, 5 year, or 20 years in your case, or to go week by week or month by month with a shorter future horizon. You can probably see how your life as a leader can be super interesting if you come up with a plan with either of those preferences, or even if you have to make a decision together with your leadership team on a plan that is being proposed to you. You may be much more aware of your colleagues' planning preferences, hopefully, because that's the idea of making you aware of your own planning personality and planning preferences. How many projects or streams of activity do you look at the same time? Like, do you prefer to have an overview of everything that's going on? Be that across your life areas or across your business operations with possibly several operations, several projects, several streams, say sales, marketing, production, etc. Or do you prefer to actually look at one string of activity by one? Like one project only, and hone in on that, focus on that, and then look at the next one. Similar to the collaboration versus solo exercise, the best plans come about when you do a combination of both of these approaches, looking at the bigger picture of seeing all the moving parts and looking at the one by one, because that tends to be more focused and hone in more on the details of this particular string of operations or project, depending on what you're planning for. But depending on where you start and where you feel most at home, you will have much less conflict in your interactions with your colleagues, with your team, with your other leaders, when you know that you are focused on one of those streams first. And then you're probably more comfortable to discuss it across everything else. And if you're forced, so to speak, to participate in a discussion where everyone is just discussing everything, all the moving parts, you probably get impatient, irritated, and you might even get annoyed. So, to summarize, There's a couple of differences when it comes to our planner personality. And they don't only relate to which shape or size or fashion design we prefer for our personal planning tools. The differences I want to lay out in today's video are more to do with your preferences in thinking style, or even an unconscious bias towards a certain perspective when it comes to planning. Our planner personality is not just about what type of tool we like. It has a lot to do with how we think and how we naturally approach a planning exercise. And for you as a leader, in your circumstance, it will be super helpful to understand your own natural preference, and also to get an awareness of where the people who you are planning with or who you're discussing your plans with, what their preferences are, so that you understand that people are looking at things from different perspectives. One person loves the solo exercise, another one loves the group exercise in collaboration. One person has a natural long-term outlook, and another one is more in the moment and week by week or day by day. One person prefers to have a very steady, straight, committed timeline, and another one prefers to go in those iterations that we use when we go agile and go sprint by sprint. And some people love to have an overview, they cannot live without it, and then drill down into a single initiative, project, or a stream of operations. And others naturally prefer to look at one string of activities only, and then at the next one. So depending on what your natural preference is, you will have a very different approach to planning. You will also have very different conversations when you're in an collaboration, either with people you're planning with for a project or for your business, or when you have a discussion about a plan that you need to make a decision on. I hope this was helpful. Happy planning, and see you next time. Bye.